Hi, I'm Jay Kenny, and welcome to the control room of my studio, AudioLogic. Today I'm going to give you a little demonstration on digital sampling. This is going to wrap up the unit that we've been working on this week. Sitting next to me here is a Yamaha Motif XF6. This is a workstation keyboard, and it also is kind of unique in the effect that it can also take digital recordings. So a workstation synthesizer is an instrument that rolls a lot of different components into one thing. So first of all, it's a synthesizer. It's got thousands of sounds in it. It's got acoustic sounds like drums and basses and guitars, keyboards, strings, brass, woodwinds, lots of synthesizer sounds, leads, pads, esoteric kinds of sounds, sound effects, you name it. If it's not in here, it probably doesn't exist. Now, a workstation also has a built-in sequencer, which means I can record parts on the keyboard using the sounds that are in the instrument, or I can record audio tracks onto the sequencer by plugging in a bass or a guitar or a microphone, and use those two kinds of things next to each other in the 16-track sequencer. I've also got a pattern recorder, which allows me to record short phrases or loops using drums or basses and things like that, and construct my song using little chunks. And I've got a lot of effects processors, so I can apply special effects like distortion to a guitar, or maybe rotary speaker to an organ, or I could put delay and reverb on a vocal track. So we got a lot going on this instrument. Now this instrument also samples. It's got two analog to digital converters on the back, so I can plug things into it and record. Now in order to do that, we need some memory to record into, and the Motif has two different kinds of memory. RAM, which stands for random access memory, ROM, which stands for read-only memory, and that contains all of the sounds that are built in and come with the instrument. And I've also added two flash cards, and the flash cards hold 1 megabyte each. So once I've sampled a sound in here, normally on a sampler you're using volatile RAM, which means that when I turn the unit off, if I didn't save it on something, that sample would go away. So I'd have to save it onto a thumb drive or an attached hard drive, or back in the olden days we used floppy disks. But these flash cards allow me to store the data on these cards, and it's semi-permanent, meaning if I turn the unit off and turn it back on, it's still going to be there. Now we have 128 megs. Now that's quite a bit. The very first sampler that I ever owned had 512K. That's half a megabyte. So not a lot of memory to store things. I had to be very, very conservative about the length of the samples and how many I could take. So what I've done is I've taken a microphone and I've hooked it into the analog to digital converter in the back, so you can hear me through the microphone. And I've set it up to record at a sampling rate of 44.1K at 16-bit. Now if you've done your homework, you know that 44.1K means that we're going to be taking a digital snapshot of the sound waveform 44,100 times per second. 16 bits is my input quantization. So that's my loud to soft range. So time kind of goes this way on the scale. Input or bit depth, input quantization and bit depth is my vertical axis. And 16-bit 44.1K is the same quality and fidelity as a CD. So I'm just going to record a little something in here. I've set it up so that all I have to do is push a button and I can start recording. So I'm going to go into standby mode and hit the start button. Welcome to the world of digital sampling. Okay, so let's audition that. Welcome to the world of digital sampling. All right, it worked. So let's push the enter button and that'll fix it in. And now I can go into this waveform and I can do some editing on it. First thing I'm going to do, and this is what is really fun with samplers, is that you can play what you've recorded over a range of notes. So my original pitch is right here. Welcome to the world of digital sampling. Now I can move that down a little bit.
Welcome to the world of digital sampling.
Or way down here. You get the idea. Other direction?
Welcome to the world of digital sampling.
All right, so it's kind of like a tape recorder speeding up and slowing down. What's happening is the instrument is playing back that sample data faster or slower depending upon what key I'm playing on the keyboard. So I could record a musical note if I wanted to. If I go back to my sampler here, I could do a new waveform. Let's record that. And I'll sing a note. And my singing is terrible, by the way. Okay. Great falsetto there. Okay, so I can do the same thing with this note. Go into the edit mode, and I'll spread it across a few keys. So now I can play chords with my own voice. Kind of. All right, so that's the first part of the demonstration. You've seen how I can record a note or a sound into the instrument. Now we're going to edit it and manipulate it a little bit. Okay, here we are looking at the screen of my motif, and we can see a picture of the waveform right here. And then we've got a lot of numbers and things, some different menu things I can select from, and my data entry over here. So here's what I just recorded. This is the sound of me singing. And when I played back the samples just a minute ago, you probably noticed that it took a while for them to play, and they didn't all play at the same time. Okay, that's because that space at the beginning of the sample was the dead air between the time I pushed the start button and I actually started singing. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of that dead air. So I'm going to move up here to where it says start point, and that's this little red line. And I'm going to grab my cursor here, my data entry wheel, and slide closer to that. Now as I get closer, it takes a lot less time for the note to start after I play the key. We're getting better. Now let's zoom in a little bit. And you can zoom right in so you can really see the whole waveform right down to the actual cycles of it. Okay, so now the note's starting right at the very beginning of it. And now I could play real chords or even play a little circus melody. Okay, that's great. Let's zoom back out. And then we also have an end point. So let's take that end point because there was also some dead air at the end. And I don't need any of that stuff either. So I'm going to move my end point in. So I don't have all that stuff over there. Don't need it. Now I could just leave it like this if I want to. Just have these start and end points saying, okay, that's good. But I want to actually get rid of that extra data. It's using up memory that I'm not using as part of the sound. So why not get rid of it? Now there's a special word for this. It's called truncating. T-R-U-N-C-A-T-I-N-G. So to truncate a sample means to get rid of the stuff at the beginning and at the end that you don't need. So I'm going to push the enter button. Yeah, I'm sure. And now I don't have that stuff at the beginning at the end. However, the sample's only a few seconds long. Whoops. I might want to have that note continue to play continuously. So in order to do that, I have to do something called looping. Now this sample right now is in one shot mode. You see right there where it says one shot. That tells me where it's panned, its volume. I can tune it if maybe I was a little sharp or a little flat. And this shows me the key range. What is the range of notes that this sample is going to play. So first thing I got to do is I got to turn this thing into loop mode. All right. So now it's looping, but the loop isn't very good. I can hear it starting over again. There's a little bit of stuff at the back of the sound. So what I need to do is now create a loop. So that's what my loop point does. And this is a different start point. So I'm going to put it in here somewhere where my sample is a little bit more even, where there's not so much going on. And then I'm going to move down here to my end point, and I'm going to put that in a little closer there. Okay, now let's see what that loop sounds like. Okay, that's a little bit better, but I need to fine-tune that a little bit. So let's zoom in. So now I can really see the waveform. So I'm going to move this thing to what's called a zero cross point. That's where the amplitude of the waveform crosses zero. And I'm going to get much better results if I set these at zero cross points and in places where the waveform kind of looks the same. So let's see what we got there. Wow, listen to that. That's pretty good. Now I could play a sustaining chord. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to hit enter. And now that's going to make that permanent. All right. So now we're going to take this sample and we're going to do some of the things that we talked about earlier on about synthesizing. So I'm going to create a voice now. So we'll exit out of here. And there's my waveform. It's waveform number 2. I could also do the other. Here's my
Welcome to the world of digital sampling.
We can edit that one too if we want to. Let's zoom out. So there's my voice. So if I wanted that to start right at the top, I could move in. Whoops, too far. Back up a little bit.
Welcome to the world of digital sampling. Welcome.
Well,
Samplers are really fun. And maybe I wanted to loop the part of the thing that says digital sampling. So we'll put our loop point there, and we'll zip our endpoint in here.
Welcome to the world of digital sampling. Digital sampling. Digital sampling. Digital sampling.
Welcome to the world of digital sampling. Digital sampling. Digital sampling. Digital sampling. Digital sampling.
Yeah, I could stay up all night. All right, so anyway, I got sidetracked. Let's go to voice mode. So I have an initialized voice here, so I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to tell it to use waveform number 2. There it is. So now I've got some of the things that you've already learned about. I've got pitch. Here's my oscillator. So my oscillator is playing back the sample. I've got pitch. So if I hit that tab, I could go in and or change its fine tuning. Right now it's tracking the keyboard in an equal tempered scale, but if I wanted to do something kind of funky, I could set it like that. So now my scale sounds more like, or even less, like this, or more. You can do all kinds of fun stuff there, but let's set it at 100, which is normal. And then I've got, here's my amplitude envelope generator. So maybe I want a little bit of a slower attack on here. So I've got attack down here. So let's slow that attack time down a little bit. And let's put a little more release on it so it rings a bit more. All right, we also have an LFO, which we talked about before, and I can route that LFO to a lot of different things. I'm going to modulate my pitch with it. And we're going to have to probably give it some depth here. Here's our waveform. I'm not hearing too much going on here. What am I doing wrong? I bet I have to tell the oscillator to listen to the LFO. Let's find that. Pitch envelope generator, element LFO. Something's wrong. Filter modulation, amplitude modulation. Oh, it's working now. Okay, so I'm changing the amplitude of my sound. Okay, happy accident. I'm digging it. I bet I just didn't have any pitch depth. I'm not going to worry about it. This is working for me. Okay, that's pretty cool. And now maybe I want to put some effects on it. So I'm going to go over here to the Effect tab, and now I can add all kinds of different effects. So I wonder what some chorus would sound like on my voice. So let's add some chorus. And let's make it sound like I'm in a great big concert hall. I'm kind of digging that. If I wanted to get really crazy, I've got these things called insertion effects. So I could, let's add some delay. Ooh, cool. And I can get in and I can edit those if I want to. Change my delay times. Right now it's doing it on quarter notes. Oops. Doing it on quarter notes. Let's set it to 16ths, or how about longer? Dotted quarter notes. Pretty cool stuff. So now I'm kind of done with this sound. So we'll exit out of this menu and we'll go to the common edits. And we'll go to general, and I could name it something. So we'll clear all of those and we'll call it J Sings. There we go. Enter it. And we'll store it, I'm sure. And there we go. I'm done. All right, I hope you enjoyed this demonstration, and you will be seeing more videos from me coming up real soon.